Hello, people of the internet. I have come to lay down my superior intellect-based opinions on the best genre of anime out there that literally not a single soul is tired of. Isekai. Or rather, as the title states, Isekai anime for people who dislike the genre. Why should I even give these anime a chance if I detest the genre, I hear you asking from deep within the bowels of your parents' basements? Well, boys and girls, that's why I'm here. To give you reasons to watch these shows. Enough chit chat, let's jump straight into the meat of things. First on this list, we have an anime by Studio None titled Saga of Tanya the Evil, or rather JoJosenki for those of us who don't want a mouthful of a title. This is an anime that you actually might have already heard about because of its popularity. JoJosenki is about a Japanese salaryman who died, as this genre usually goes, after firing a resentful employee and was reincarnated as a little girl who goes by the name Tanya de Gurachov into an alternate version of Germany and the rest of Europe during the events of World War I. By God. He joins the military at the age of 8 to climb the ranks and operate behind the scenes to decrease the amount of danger she'd be in. Seems like a pretty good idea at first until her leadership is proven to be 11 out of 10 IGN, 110% Rotten Tomatoes levels of incredible incompetent that she ends up on the front lines for every mission anyway. Now, why would they let an 8-year-old girl into the military and let her become a warrant officer in the midst of one of history's bloodiest wars? Yes. What makes this a good candidate to watch is that it breaks away from the usual aesthetics and mechanics of isekai anime and settles for something more relatable to reality. Sure, this still has magic and mages, seeing as Tanya herself is a mage, as well as the majority of the people involved in the military are, but that's not enough to take away from the more realistic approach JoJosenki takes. You can also forget about the sword fighting and having a priest stand at the rear, readying themselves up with healing spells and all that BS you're more than exhausted with. JoJosenki is a tale about intense 20th century warfare with guns, tanks, and explosions loud enough that the audio is obviously clipping in these episodes. If you're someone that hates isekai but is a history nut with a love for guns and explosions, chances are that you might actually end up enjoying this. Can I also point out that Tanya is nicknamed the Devil of the Rhine? How badass is that? Next up, we have Ascendance of a Bookworm. This one does go back to your usual Western-inspired JRPG aesthetics with magic. This is going to be a recurring theme. But is still far from your typical isekai. With a more peaceful, slice-of-life approach to the genre, Ascendance of a Bookworm is one of those shows that you can look forward to watching after a long, hard day at work. Our protagonist, Mine, is a studious individual with a love for reading and books. Her dream job is to become a librarian so that she can be surrounded by books every minute of every day. However, because this takes place during medieval times, books are kind of a rarity and are very expensive because they all have to be written and copied by hand since a printing press is yet to be invented. As a result, only the nobility can afford them, and Mine decides that if she can't read books, she'll just have to make them herself. She's also very handy to have around, seeing as she still retains memories of her previous life after dying in an accident, you know how it goes, and puts the knowledge she retains to good use. Despite the peacefulness, not everything in this world is all sunshine and rainbows. Ascendance of a Bookworm isn't shy about exploring the darker aspects of the world, such as your typical shady nobility types, and the state of the local orphanage. These kinds of things aren't explored too often, so I wouldn't worry too much about these moments ruining your good mood. With 3 seasons out at the time of writing this video, there's plenty of episodes for you to go watch. Enjoy the day-to-day shenanigans of Mine as she sets off on her quest for books to read and create, as I surely did. Another anime that might be worth your while is Trapped in a Dating Sim. The world of otome games is tough for mobs. Jesus fucking Christ, that is a long-ass title. So, this rips off the concept given to us by My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom. See the connection? Where the protagonist gets transported into the world of an otome game. Real quick for those that don't know, an otome game is a dating sim style game that's targeted towards women. Trapped in a Dating Sim is an isekai that doesn't exactly take itself too seriously while still having a decent plot. Our main character, Leon, was reincarnated into this otome game that he was blackmailed to play as a mob, which in video game terminology is another name for a non-playable character, NPC for short. In this new world that he's in, he was born into nobility and was forced to marry someone he has zero romantic interest in. He tries to find ways to get out of it, eventually leading to the fact that he just needs to make money. With this revelation in mind, he attempts to go about his daily life as the background character that he is, and let the game's protag take the spotlight and just live a normal life, similar to Tanya. However, just like Tanya, he ends up being the center of attention. Leon's terrible personality leads him to be one of the main reasons why he ends up being the center of attention, despite how much he's trying to avoid that. His unlikable personality is actually the main reason why I like this guy though. It puts him in funny situations and makes him say humorous things, making Trapped in a Dating Sim very entertaining to watch. Not only that, Leon's method of thinking is playing the villain to be the hero. So his personality actually has a purpose and kinda negates his attitude when talking to his opponents. Trapped in a Dating Sim is also a bit of a mess when it comes to its aesthetics. Even though it does take place in a usual medieval world, there's mechs, huge airships, NASCAR F-Zero for some reason, and a bunch of other modern technological advancements involved. The anime uses that to its advantage though. Everything ends up being very well connected because it manages to utilize everything it presents to keep the story going even if it's for one-off events. Honestly, there's a bit more genius involved here than meets the eye. If you're looking for a laugh to make your day a bit better, I highly recommend this. The second to last title here is Jobless Reincarnation. This one here is another anime that you might have already heard about. Jobless Reincarnation is the first production from Studio Bind, a studio created to have a dedicated long-term focus on the anime by Studio White Fox, who are known for hit anime such as Steins Gate, Re:Zero, Girls Last Tour, and The Devil's a Part-Timer. Now, Jobless Reincarnation is a textbook isekai, so why am I suggesting this in a video for people who hate this stuff? Because it brings so much more to the table than just being a generic isekai anime. Sure, you have a relatively OP protagonist who travels with a duo of other relatively OP individuals, and it's another show with magic, demons, other mythical beings, etc. But what this show lacks because of any genericism it might have, it makes up for in its storytelling and its production. The protagonist in this one is Rudius Greyrat. In his previous life, Rudius was a NEET. He pretty much gave up on life after being abandoned by his family after the death of his parents. He was an individual who was treated quite harshly during his time alive and ended up becoming afraid of the outside world, leading him to become a NEET. However, in an attempt to make his life meaningful in some way, he saved a group of teenagers from getting run over by everyone's favorite isekai character, Truck-kun. Obviously, he didn't survive the impact, but was given a second chance at life in another world. Rudius was considered to be a very controversial character during the release of the first few episodes, and understandably so. He's a very perverted individual, which isn't really new in anime. But seeing as how this isn't an ecchi harem anime and his pervertedness surpassed the pervertedness of other ecchi protagonists, Rudius was disliked as a character. However, I strongly recommend anybody who agrees with these sentiments stick with the anime because that is the whole point of the anime. See, in his revelation of being given a second chance at life, Rudius aims to make this new life he leads a much better one than the one back in his original world. He does his best to avoid repeating any mistakes he made and does his best to improve himself as a person. He realizes that he's a piece of shit and after some time begins to mature into a great individual. If character-driven stories are up your alley, there aren't too many options better than Jobless Reincarnation. Now for the final anime on this list. This one is actually an all-time favorite of mine and I'm glad to be sharing it with anyone watching this video. Show by Rock. This one is the most unique entry on the list and I could go on and on and on about this show. But maybe I'll save that for a completely separate video because honestly, it needs one. Show by Rock is the most perfect entry on this list because it'll make you forget that it even is an isekai. There is absolutely nothing it remotely shares with the other isekai anime on this list aside from reincarnation or transportation. Hell, no one even dies in this show to get to the other world. So, let's get right into the meat of things for this show. Show by Rock is an original anime by highly reputable studio Bones. Bones are known for many smash hit anime such as My Hero Academia, Mob Psycho 100, Noragami, Ouran High School Host Club, and what many, wrongfully, consider to be the greatest anime of all time, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Except Love is War took that spot at the time of writing this video, thank god. The anime starts off by introducing the protagonist Cyan, a shy high school girl who wants to join her school's light music club. Of course, her shyness prevents her from asking and ends up embarrassing herself in front of her fellow students. She returns home and that's where the isekai magic begins. Cyan is playing the now defunct mobile game of the same name as the anime, and after finishing her current game, gets sucked into her phone and lands in this very strange new world. And so begins her adventures as a guitar-playing cat girl in Sound Galaxy on Sound Planet in a place called Midi City. Creative names, I know. Somebody got paid to write those, by the way. As you can see, the aesthetics in this have nothing in common with typical isekai, with the exception of the chibi furries you see walking around, which are known as Mumons, and that everyone has animal ears because reasons. Everything else is your normal city, but everything is based on a music pun of some kind if it's applicable. Pretty colors are a common theme here as well. Something that Show by Rock has, if you're the kind of person that watches dubbed anime, that's kind of a lost art in this day and age, is dubbed music. While, in my honest opinion, not every song is amazing in English, you can definitely tell that the staff involved in the production of this dub poured their heart and soul into adapting the songs in English. It's not even just the music, it goes way beyond that. The dub as a whole has so much more effort put into it, while being able to hear the voice actors having fun. It honestly makes watching this anime a very wholesome experience, which adds an extra and welcome layer to the enjoyment you're guaranteed to have already. I'd also like to take a minute to talk about the cast. These are some of the most charismatic characters I've seen. Everyone is always successful in their attempts to catch the viewer's attention. Their unique personalities and designs will make you fall in love with everyone at first sight. More specifically, the girls in the main band, Plasmagica, are easily up there with my most lovable characters in anime of all time. Everyone's adorable and bubbly in a not annoying way like these kinds of characters usually end up being. Also, Cyan and Rhetori basically being a canon ship is something we don't deserve as a species. No achievements made by mankind are good enough to say that we deserve seeing these two together. To further tug at your heart on, the official Show by Rock Anime's website lists Cyan under Rhetori's list of things she likes. If cute could kill, then Cyan and Rhetori would be the world's most dangerous serial killers. I've gone on long enough about Show by Rock, and if I don't stop now, I'll be here until the end of time. If you love music and moe anime, Show by Rock is the isekai for you. I even forgot that this was an isekai while writing the script. There's 2 seasons plus a 12-episode mini-series that takes place before season 2. You might have also noticed these other 2 entries in the Show by Rock series of anime. We don't talk about those. Well, if you're sick of hearing me talk your ears off, I've got good news for you. We finally reached the end of the video. I hope this list of isekai anime was helpful to those who hate the genre. Thanks for sticking around to the very end. Your view is greatly appreciated. Until next time.